Welcome to planning and executing addressable campaigns. Building a successful addressable advertising business requires more than simply enabling the technology. Strategic campaign planning and execution are critical. In this video, we will discuss what distributors and content providers need to know to be successful when planning and executing campaigns. By the end of this module, you will be able to identify the sequence of steps involved in campaign planning, describe factors you should consider when planning a campaign, and list the steps related to campaign execution. To plan and effectively execute addressable campaigns, new processes and workflows must be created. These processes align with the typical campaign planning associated with traditional TV advertising, but extend to include targeting and measurement. The success of addressable advertising campaigns will be heavily influenced by upfront planning and clear success criteria. Taking the time and forethought to establish objectives and a clear analysis plan produces the best results. Let's look first at campaign planning. When working with the advertiser, the content provider should follow these 5 steps. Identify the campaign objectives, identify the target audience, develop a forecast, establish a price, and develop an analysis plan. To identify campaign objectives, the ad sales team will need to consider the following. The campaign objectives should be measurable. Examples of measurable outcomes include sales impact, which is typically measured using conversion data that can be attributed to ad campaigns. Conversion data may include sales, site visits, and tune-ins. And brand awareness, which can be assessed using market research or surveys. Note that the objectives are frequently industry-specific. For example, a tune-in campaign might seek to drive viewership of a promoted show, whereas a travel industry campaign might seek to increase participation in an affinity program. With campaign objectives in hand, the next step is to identify the target audience. Who is the ideal viewer for the advertiser? What characteristics do they have? Can they be grouped or segmented? In this step, the sales team and advertiser or agency work together to identify the target segment, the household counts associated with the target, the incidence rate, possible data sources, precision and cost of the data, and the matching and alignment of data to household and/or devices. Next, it's vital to develop a forecast or a projection of how the campaign will perform. This includes specifying desired reach, assessing the number of ad play opportunities, and determining the likelihood the campaign will play given the large number of campaigns competing for viewership. Pricing follows forecast. Elements that impact pricing include campaign incidence rate, audience demand given the allocated inventory, perceived audience value, campaign load, time of year or seasonality, and the relationship with the advertiser. The final step is to develop an analysis plan. This step helps inform what other actions are needed and any other types of data required before the campaign begins. For advertisers new to addressable advertising, it is also good to establish a success benchmark. The plan could be as simple as measuring year-over-year sales changes, or the effect on brand recall if ongoing brand studies are conducted. As part of driving addressable advertising adoption and demonstrating success, particularly in markets where the offering is relatively new, a useful method is to run addressable campaigns against another campaign, which acts as a control. This approach generally shows that addressable campaigns outperform the others in terms of meeting or exceeding campaign objectives. Notably, this method can also support advertisers wishing to perform A/B testing. The planning activities lead to a proposal, which includes the goals and objectives of the campaign, including the number of impressions and budget, targeting information, including audience characteristics, household counts, data source and data type, flighting specifications, including start and end dates, days of week, day parts, spot lengths, network inclusions, exclusions, frequency, separation, and delivery platforms, analytics, which will include the style of analytics, for example, impact versus control, metrics, use of conversion data and other measurement deliverables, and finally, the cost, or CPM. Once the proposal has been accepted, the ad operations and system operations teams coordinate to ensure the campaign is ready to launch, runs smoothly, and delivers the defined impression levels. Next steps generally include obtaining the customer's sign-off and internal authorization to proceed with the campaign, creating the audience segments, confirming the target devices are updated with the targeting parameters, ensuring that the creative asset for all order lines is available and distributed to necessary systems, entering the campaign and its order lines into the NVIDIA platform, monitoring performance for under and over delivery and managing flight control mechanisms, including increasing or decreasing inventory levels, extending flight dates, minimizing audience overlap with other campaigns, changing exclusions, revising frequency caps, and managing separation, creating and distributing stewardship reports, and, upon campaign completion, if delivering relevant data for analytics is expected, ensuring all exposure data has been delivered to the reporting partners. And that's it. At an introductory level, we've covered what distributors and content providers need to know to succeed with campaign planning and execution. Time and time again, we have witnessed the impressive results that come from taking the time and forethought to establish objectives and a clear analysis plan. Our NVIDIA team is here to help. Check out additional training modules or reach out to your NVIDIA representative for more information.